260 billion naira to create 2 million jobs, right? And to look into this conversation with us this morning is our guest, who's in the person of the chief, high chief, if you like, Peter Ame. He's an ex-IPAC chairman. Good morning and welcome to the Prog Show this morning. Right.
Morning, Nigeria.
Does feel good to see you. I think the last time that I saw you, that would have been over social media platforms where you were talking politics with Omoife and everything, but studio. I mean, there's been conversations that's been sparked over time about, you know, the idea of diversifying the economy, the idea of looking into the situation that Nigeria is faced with, which quite a number of people believe is political, and others believe it is a situation that's been brought about by ourselves. In other words, it's self-inflicted. And many a time, the discourse has always been around poverty. It has always been about insecurity. And it has always been about hunger, lack of opportunity, right? And then unemployment being very key. And when we talk unemployment, a number of Nigerians, even the listener right now, would want to say it is tagged or tied around and about education, which is believed to be the very bedrock of any society. In fact, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction has proposed a budget of 260 billion naira for the 2025 fiscal year. Now, that proposed budget is aimed at creating 2 million jobs through various programs, including the Skill to Wealth initiative. Now, the initiative is also aimed at training about 50,000 unemployed youths and providing them with starter packs to embark on self-reliant ventures. But the ministry's proposal has been submitted to the National Assembly for approval. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction now, Professor Netawe Goshwe Yowada, has stated that the proposed budget will help to address the country's growing humanitarian concerns and challenges. Omoife.
That's right. And just for the listener out there to get a sense of what this ministry is all about, Nigeria's Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction was established, to address the country's growing humanitarian challenges, and the ministry is responsible for coordinating the government's response to humanitarian crises, including conflicts, natural disasters, and poverty. In recent years, Nigeria has faced numerous humanitarian challenges, including the Boko Haram insurgency, banditry, even kidnapping, and these challenges have resulted in the displacement of millions of people, many of whom are in need of humanitarian assistance. Right. Now, the humanitarian ministry actually got a not too good record. I mean, in the first term, not first term now, the first lap or the early days of the President Tinubu-led administration, talking about the former minister who was, of course, suspended for gross misconduct, as some have tagged it. And now, knowing that this ministry is budgeting or seeking 260 billion naira to create 2 million jobs, the question that actually comes to mind would be how realistic this proposal is, and whether or not it would actually cater for the needs of the right audience, looking at the antecedents of what had actually transpired in that ministry. Right. And the much reason why we have our guest in the studios this morning, and just to put it out there as well, that he's not just an ex-IPAC chair, he's also the current National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Party, and he also doubles as an action activist. Good morning to you once again, Chief. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Right.
All right. We'd like to quickly share a personal story of a young Nigerian, who, on the grounds of anonymity, shared our experience of being unemployed for several years. And according to her, I quote, "I graduated from university 5 years ago, but I have not been able to find a job. I've applied to numerous companies, but I've not received any responses. I'm struggling to make ends meet, and I'm worried about my future." End of quote. Now, of course, one would say that this woman's story is not unique. As many Nigerians, many young Nigerians are facing similar challenges, and the proposed budget by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction aims to address this issue. Little wonder some people have their reservations. I mean, when they hear things like this.
Right.
And just recently, we were made to understand that the federal government is actually making efforts to transfer about 75,000 naira to some millions
grants,
of Nigerians.
right, about 70 million Nigerians.
Right.
That's right.
So, Nigeria has indeed, had a long history of humanitarian challenges, like I highlighted earlier. But again, the question that comes to mind is the role of corruption in trying to address these humanitarian needs. Some analysts and observers actually think that when humanitarian challenges actually come to the fore and there is need for these challenges to be addressed, the monies being budgeted, the monies are usually diverted,
right,
and not really given to the right beneficiaries. But Chief, to start a conversation, I know that you were very vocal, with regards to the carry on of the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, who of course has been suspended or was suspended, the person of Dr. Betta Aidu. And a number of Nigerians have been asking really that, what exactly is the update with the case of Betta Aidu, even though we have a new minister now, and one will say that bygones should be bygones, but
right,
for the sake of transparency and accountability, it's good that these questions are asked. Are you privy to any information regarding, the case of the suspended minister?
The case has been swept under the carpet.
okay,
There's no doubt about that, because if you look at when the case started, I knew there was nothing going to come about it. It's always about politics for a lot of these people in government. And the EFCC, later the EFCC was saying that the investigation has been conducted and the report has been sent to the presidency. What do you say about that? It's just every time people, Nigerians have this very short attention lifespan on any issue. So as soon as it comes, hey, people shout, people move on. So those in government are already, they are aware of this. So they take advantage of it. They can just say anything now. In the next 3 days, Nigerians will move up to maybe Bobrisky issues. So these are the challenges that we are facing when it comes to governance, especially when there's no participatory engagement from citizens that are supposed to be responsible in holding government accountable. Because you're not going to just be an activist, you're not going to be a critique or criticize issues on a daily basis without Nigerians connecting to these issues to see how much Nigerians can be better for Nigerians. So there's always politics, and if I'm not even better, she's on the road always campaigning for the president already. She's shouting it must be President Bola Tinubu for 2027, because people are still hopeful, because the Nigerian system, people don't understand, whether at the state, local and federal level, determine what you get, determine what goes to who comes to who, and who gets what. So that's the problem with our system. We don't have the system that is the economy is enterprise based, that is productivity based, that is how they call it the capacity base, that right, what people can earn is dependent on what they can do, and it's not based on this talent. It's not based on these issues. The issue is actually based who knows who is in government, who knows who controls this, who is in charge of that. So the corruption issues will continue to increase in its nature and its the way it is, and continue to affect lives negatively in Nigeria, thereby leading to increasing poverty and unemployment in our country.
All right. Before I let you, share your 2 cents on the stand of the humanitarian ministry seeking 260 billion naira to create 2 million jobs. I think it's not just typical of the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry now. We've seen other ministries coming out, in the bid to defend their budget. They're saying that the allocation is even a paltry, sum for some ministries, and others are saying that, come on, this ministry actually deserves even better. And that also applies to agencies. But I know you issued, a piece recently where you also shared your 2 cents and also expressed your reservations with regards to the budget proposal for the year 2025. What are your thoughts exactly on this with regards to the concerns of these ministries and agencies with regards to allocations?
I think the issue with people in government, let me tell you, they are just creating job for the boys. They're creating job for those who they felt supported them.
Who are the boys?
No, the people who they felt supported them. Look, if you want a situation that you want Nigerians to work, it's not about creating ministries. In 1999 when we got into this democracy, there was NEMA.
Right.
Do you know the function of NEMA? What is the function of Ministry of Poverty Alleviation and Emergency? What is their function? Go and read the function of NEMA. It's to give out relief materials, to be there in times of disaster. You understand? NEMA was well established, well structured to do these functions.
But it's not NEMA's responsibility to alleviate poverty, is it?
No. You listen now. Poverty alleviation, it doesn't have to have a ministry. I am telling you. This is just going to share money to people. I'm trying to break the ministry down into two components. There's poverty alleviation and there's emergency and disaster management. But NEMA exists from 1999 and still exists. It's now put under the minister, for humanitarian affairs. You don't need ministry for everything to be functional. You don't need ministries.
So what do we need?
We need effective management of institutions that have been created to take charge of certain responsibilities. If you are a president and you cannot, take effective, oversight function by the National Assembly, oversight function by the president and the executive, and you cannot get these agencies to function, that means you have no capacity to run. It's not by creating ministries that countries survive. America is 50 states. How many ministries they have? You understand? You got to look at it. The more people reduce government, the more government become smaller in size. It's easier to manage than blowing government up and creating bureaucratic bottlenecks that create only processes without result.
But some would beg to differ very quickly to saying that as much as it is okay to consolidate on institutions that are in existence, that there is a need to create jobs. I mean, we have a teeming population of a workforce, young workforce, who are roaming the streets unemployed. What happens to these ones? Don't you think this initiative would have been a step in the right direction to take the youth off the streets?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
All right.
You have what was the function of NEMA? Provision of relief material, monitoring preparedness, ensuring the country's prospect to respond to disaster, enlightenment, educating the populace on disaster management and response. These are the function of NEMA. And then you go to poverty alleviation. We have the director of employment in this country. You don't know? These are things I didn't even read before I got here. I didn't do anything because this is things I've known for a very long time. So it's not something I'm going to be glancing through books and try to do whether they existed. They've been there. All you need is to put life into it. You understand? You see, look, there are directorates in other countries that I've seen that are very functional. You don't go to create Ministry of Tourism and there's no tourism attraction site being revamped in the country. It's just a waste of resources. So you have something that must work. Let me tell you, you want to create employment for this country? You want Nigerian to work? We have 39.6 million arable land. 39.6 million, 39.6 million arable land. 39.6 million. Have you seen arable land? That the easiest way to create employment is by making sure that we get into production.
Right.
One, you create an enabling environment for business to strive through maintaining the constitutional provision that security and lives and property must be secure, which is primary purpose of government. If you can do that, because if there's no life, people can't go to farm. Today, food inflation has the highest component of our inflation, about 70% or so, and food inflation in total is about over 40%. Today, our inflation is stacking 34.8%. If you remove the pressure that food inflation is putting on it, it will drop. Do you understand? So, but the food inflation, how are we going to do it? We have to go back to mechanized farming. We have to get into mechanized. Before the discovery of oil, Nigeria was living loom large. To the extent that cocoa export was a mainstay in the southwest. You have issue in the north where groundnut pyramid was so. So there are a lot of resources today. Cassava is a crop how they call that people get so much resources from. So how do Nigerians now depend on a mono product, which is the crude oil today? That is the only way we sustain ourselves through federal allocation, where people come to sit down like children every month and put feeding bottle in their mouth and share money and go. It has weakened our system. So we must get back to agriculture because agriculture have the shortest gestation period. If you plant cassava, you know how long it takes for cassava to germinate and then become mature. If you plant groundnut, you know how long it takes. If it's corn, you know how much it takes. There's a shortage of food everywhere in the world. Nigeria cannot produce enough to say to go to waste. We have a population that will eat it. We have neighboring people that are hungry. So why are we in hunger? Why are people suffering? So if you want to provide employment, then all these three agencies can be put together. You put NEMA in place. You put Directorate of Employment in place. You put Agricultural Ministry as a priority. There's no priority with our budget. Our budget is a repeated rhetoric of woes. Where a situation where people budget for cars every day, where people renovate the presidency and national assembly every budget year. Trump has been sworn in. Have you heard any new cars being bought? Have you heard any budget for provision of the renovation of the White House? The White House is there. They don't renovate it every year. In the current budget, there's about 9.4 billion that has been budgeted for the president and the vice president to travel abroad.
But the democracy being practiced in the United States of America, for example, that is advanced democracy.
No, there's nothing advanced about democracy. Either you have democracy, you don't have. Like when people say true federalism, they don't say true about federalism. I studied
federalism. Is federalism.
It's federalism. Yeah. Anytime I hear people say true federalism, it breaks my mind. I study these things. There's nothing. Anything you add to it is like Nigeria. We are trying to create the Nigerian version.
So what do you think we are actually following? Is it federalism as it were?
No. We have a federalism that has been bastardized by the handlers.
Oh.
Yeah, it has been bastardized because you have a federal system where the police listen to only the president. You have a federal system where the president appoints the judges, appoint the INEC chairman, appoint everything. There has to be a process. In America, I've told people who called on this particular show talking about electoral system in America. America has one of the very flawed electoral system. If that electoral system was in Nigeria, let me tell you, nobody will win election. It is only one party that will win. I'm telling you the truth. But because of the people commitment to their country, to the belief, to sincerity and doing the right thing, people driven by integrity, they get result. Because American electoral system are conducted by political parties, representative on the board.
So there is an absence of that commitment here.
There's no commitment here. The thing that you find here is about self-serving interest and for themselves. So they get into power. Anytime a person is given an appointment, you see jubilation from communities, you see people from their worship centers, and people go to pray, because they feel that their turn has come. Our turn has come. It's a community turn. It's a people's turn. It's our family turn. So that is the kind of situation we have, where you find out that a young Nigerian that is qualified, that has a PhD in something that is needed to do the work, they will prefer to give the work to an expatriate that
the NDLEA now in Nigeria, even though mentions have not been made about who these people are, and Nigerians keep clamoring for this. But then let's jump into the conversation of the day. I mean, if we continue towing that path, we may not really have a close to it. But there is a proposal, 260 billion naira to be allocated to creating 2 million jobs. What specific programs, or initiatives do you think would be implemented to achieve this goal? And you made mention of the fact that every time we have allocated, is it nine something now? I can't remember precisely, to renovate for the travels of Mr. President and the Vice President, which over time Nigerians have been yelling, screaming, saying it on different platforms, including this one: cut cost of governance. Do you think that's the answer to it? I mean, rather than all of these initiatives, there are better ways to make things work.
This initiative is look, we could say we don't want to be people that they feel we condemn everything. It's good to create employment, that is the truth. But why I feel this is not concrete enough is because I feel there's no blueprint of what the money is meant for. It's just bogus statement of employment. People could come tomorrow and say they are sharing 30 million naira to people. You won't see the people. The people will just share and then return money back to source. So these are the situation we have. We must be able to have, if we put this money together and say, today in the budget, there's 4 billion for the development of jetty and helipad in Lagos for the president to land. We already have that. So it's a repeated line item for the budget. If we put all this money together and say, what are we doing? Are we going to make sure that the cost of even running an enterprise in Nigeria is reduced? One, to make sure that there's power. If there's power, a lot of companies are folding up. You might not know, small companies. I'm a businessman. I see people fold up. My friends fold up every day. So the cost of running, because of power, has become so enormous that it's not working. So even if you create this job, how sustainable are these jobs? If you give people 5 million to go and start selling pure water, how sustainable it is? If you give people 5 million to go and open small shops, how sustainable can that be? We must have an industrial and all-encompassing open mind to how jobs could be created. How do we invest in agriculture? Let's bring the Ministry of Agriculture and the Nigerian Directorate of Employment together. Now that there's a Ministry of Poverty Alleviation, let them sit on the table. What are we going to do? Right. Because I don't believe creating ministries is a solution to our problem. I believe it's effective management of agencies that are already existing that is effective, because what the Orosan report tends to cure was that there were too many bottlenecks when it comes to civil servant operating processes rather than operating quality engagement that will lead to development of our country. Because what they do is that this paper, this man never signed, you give it to the next person, he sign, you give it to the next person, he sign. So what you are supposed to invest in will take 7 months before you get the approval, because of these processes that has been unnecessary bottlenecks that have been created. So it is not about creating ministries. It's about making, look, today, the American president is back to office. The one that left before, he's saying that there's what they call DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Right.
They are going to cut the how they call it, the government, how they call these processes down to the barest minimum. So you don't have to have a big office with 30 people, passing paper to themselves, and then you, instead of you to have one person just approve and say this is what it is.
Like to multitask.
So yes,
as opposed to having different.
Yes. So you need to be able to have this effective unit.
Right.
And there's a problem with this allocation. Me and you, we're going to come back at the end of the year, and you see that this budget performance, the Minister of Finance went to the National Assembly and said that the capital expenditure for the budget performed at 25%. Whereas the recurrent expenditure performed at almost 100%.
Wow.
So you can see that we are not investing in what could help our people grow. We are not investing more. Look, when people talk about road construction without other basic amenities will not bring development. It will only make people pass from one location to the other. But how can people pass from one location to the other when they are not moving goods along with them? You understand? So we need to be able to use this land and the resources God has given us to transform the life of our people. How do we provide security for gold mining in Zamfara, and make sure that this gold mining are legitimately done to the point that the government rent revenue from it, the middlemen and the Nigerians working their earn revenue for it, not that they are put in that camp like slave workers when they work for people who are mining our gold illegally. So government must look in retrospect, sit down with his team and say we can really create jobs.
All right.
Let's invest more in agriculture than invest more in this daily sharing of money that we have never taken our people out of poverty.
Well, a number of Nigerians actually think that the agricultural sector has been underrepresented in terms of, budgetary allocations, because we understand that for the 2025 budget, agricultural sector will be getting just 2%, and it actually calls for concern. I mean, one would say to even say that we want to diversify and look beyond crude. But as a businessman, right, I'd like to get your thoughts on this as well. Don't you think there is dependence on white collar jobs? I mean, when you talk about unemployment, it actually cuts across board. Whilst it's okay for people to, shift focus or ground, in terms of embracing agriculture, as it were, do you not also think that skill acquisition is something that is also lagging? I mean, tracing it to our tertiary institutions or even secondary education. Let's start from there.
I want to say something if you give me time. You see,
right.
Nigerians have always had good policy. We have what they call federal technical colleges.
Yeah.
Have you been to Orozo?
Yeah.
When I opened my computer center in the early 2000s, the boys that come to repair the electrical fittings and the computer and all the things I had, they were boys from Orozo Government Technical College. They were already electrician at JSS1, JSS2. They already know what they were supposed to do. You go to Yaba College of Technology. We have these federal government technical colleges across Nigeria. But Nigeria is not a country that bring policy and sustain the policy. We know when polytechnics were formed, polytechnics were not formed to be like universities. They were formed to be techniques. Yeah. To do technologies, right. To do technical things.
More practical.
More practicals. But today, polytechnics are doing sociology. You understand? So we have a problem, not that we don't have policy. We have good policies. But, because successive government does not remember. Every government wants to do what they will be remembered for. That's why today, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is building a polytechnic in Abuja. Right. He has named it after himself before building itself.
Is it the one building?
It, or he just named...
He has named it after himself. So you don't do that anywhere in the world. If people are struggling to want to leave legacy because of people's money. You hear people come to this and say, you do for me, I do for you. With federal government money. It's not your personal money. So you are telling citizens that owns this money, as you have done road for them, that means they will vote for you. See, these are we have a pervasive sense of understanding when it comes to governance, development, and economic prosperity for our people. I'm not telling. It's FCT minister when he goes to a place, say, "You do for me, I do for you." These are money, are public money. We are collective shareholder of these resources. This is not helping Nigerians out of poverty.
Don't you think you're blowing that statement out of context?
No, that's the context of the statement. You can take me anywhere. I can stand.
You do for me, I do for you.
There's no another definition attached to it. So what I'm telling you is that, for me, I always continue to say this thing. You want Nigeria to work.
Right.
Nigeria must work. Must all roll up our sleeves. The government must stop talking about what they will benefit. Today, you find out government are interested in doing a project they can complete. A project they can complete so that their name will be written on it, so that their friends' names will be written on it. That's why you find out that people are more interested in road construction, in boreholes. Because if you want to do when we came to Abuja, anywhere you stay in Kuba, anywhere you stay in Nyanya, you stay in Karo, you stay in any of the zones and any of the areas, you have direct water. You just shower, pipe-borne water. Today, Abuja has expanded 3 times to the size of what we met, but there's no pipe-borne water in all the communities because nobody wants to go into pipe-borne water project because it will take about 3 successful governments to get it completed. So they want to be able to do the one they can say, we did this road for you. How many kilometers? How much is to tie road? The greatest fraud of this EFC, I've said, is in procurement, and most of this procurement fraud also comes from road construction. Road construction is the cheapest construction anywhere in the world, apart from Niger Delta, where you have this water body problem. Yeah. This FCT North road is very cheap to construct, but people don't look at the budget, how much is spent for road, how much is given to each of these government agencies, and we are just worried that we are not getting anywhere. We are not getting anywhere because literally those in government light our money on fire. They light our money on fire. They spend our money without prioritizing the welfare of the people. Because if you put the kind of our budget is running to $1 trillion today, and yet there's no man on the street. You walk on the street of this Nigeria, and everybody's frowning face. Things are bad. People can come anywhere and pretend. I got a call from my village this morning. I shed tears. People are suffering. People just come. I'm not suffering. Why do I talk about it? Why should I just sit in my house and enjoy my life? No, this life is not enjoyable with other people suffering around you.
Right.
So we must know that if the government want people to work, people to produce, people to generate wealth, then the government must first of all secure the lives of the people. People can go to farm.
But isn't that the reason why there is this huge, budgetary
260
to the security sector?
Okay.
No, I don't have a problem with the budget. I was very proud of that budget. Like I told you, I'm not here to criticize people, blanket, and tell you no. I'm very proud of that budget. We need to have a proper oversight function for that budget now, so that resources will well utilized. And it's not just about budgeting alone. For the security sector, the government must boost the morale of the troops that are fighting this war. They must care for their family. They must care for their welfare. They must feed them well, because I grew up in this system, and I know that soldiers are hardly taken care of. Their feeding allowance is not given enough. They eat very poorly, cooked food. So if you do that and you boost their morale, people are willing to die for this country when they know that the country is willing to recognize their sacrifice to the unity and development of the country.
Right.
But when they know that the country will abandon and move to the next stage, and glorify those who should not be glorified and ignore those who should be glorified, then people become afraid to give up their lives.
Well, I put a peg to your thoughts right there. As you mentioned, there's the need to prioritize what it is that we do. There is a priority that is beckoning right now. Let's go on recess. We'll be right back. And when we do come back, you have your questions ready, and let's have this discourse.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Hello Nigeria. Hello Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's 1-year diploma in certified nursing assistant training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary degree diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-550-45801. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Wow, it's Emirates. It's time of the year when we all start to plan our next holidays, and you are spoiled for choice with Emirates. Fly better to over 114 destinations and connect to over 1,700 more with their partners across the world on what a way to travel. With bars in the sky, onboard showers, and award-winning in-flight entertainment. It's no surprise that Emirates was named the best airlines in the world. So book now on Emirates.com.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Do you want to know about cars? Everything about cars, from purchase to maintenance and even road use. Don't go too far. Listen to Top Gear on Eagles 102.3 FM every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Top Gear, let's give you a spin.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
From Milky Way to Earth, everywhere there's internet, you can connect with Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Log on to our website www.eaglesfm.com. Follow and engage with us now on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at Eagles FM Abuja, Instagram at Eagles FM 1023. Download our apps on your Android and iOS stores. Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, your radio experience you can count on.
Right, the conversation is still trending on here. This is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. We give you an audio visual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. Get across social media platforms. Get on YouTube, subscribe at Eagles FM Abuja. Leave us a comment on there. And get onto Facebook page, a wall as well, at Eagles FM Abuja. Leave us a comment. Let us know what it is your discourse will be and where it is that you are watching us from. We'll still have our guest who is in the studio doing justice to the topical issue. Is in the person of High Chief Peter Ame. He's an ex-IPAC chairman, and of course he's got quite a number of other office holding. I'll leave all my face to put that
the
into
current National Secretary, Coalition of United Political Parties, right, and also an anti-corruption activist.
That's right. Opening the phone lines right now so that we can also hear from you as you also give impact your 2 cents in the discourse this morning. 0907 353 0044.
You can also reach us on 0908 766 8888 or send a message or even a voice note to the WhatsApp portal on 0909 705 4450.
All right, you see your calls come through, but your calls gone out, and we see yet another one come through. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Judy.
Yes, good morning to you,
and
please.
Good morning, Omafe.
Good morning.
Good morning to our guest.
Right.
UD.
What is your name? Where are you calling from, please?
Yes, Felix from Lambert.
All right.
Nigeria is a great country
Right.
with a lot of prospects in so many areas. And we don't have any reason to be poor and wretched. And they lamenting every now and then. But it's unfortunate that we have a problem with leadership. And I guess has really satiated on so many areas of our life. But I want to dwell, because this is a country that can turn even an angel and make an angel become a Nigerian. Bring the expatriate, no distance, and the expatriate becomes Nigerian. And the things are done in the Nigerian way. We have our indigenous whatever, indigenous democracy, indigenous this that, and that. But my point is this: you said you're not going to talk about the budgeting. My problem is with the budgeting. In the budget, like you rightly pointed out, the current expenditure is always exhausted. It's only capital expenditure they have 25-30% execution. And under the current, you have personal emolument and other charges. Go through the other charges, you discover that issues are repeated over and over. Do you buy furniture for office every year? Do you buy furniture for minister every year? Do you buy all these and other things are repeated? All are waste of siphoning money and all that induce corruption in the system. How do we address all this? And procurement those days, you have. Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead, Felix.
Procurement in those days, one person don't sit down and procure things. Procurement are subject to decision of committees. Environment, when you buy from one subway to the other, there's a committee that was always set in both ministries and departments for the approval of environment. But these days now, these things are done by individuals. How do we curb corruption? Why corruption will not assist in such a system? Thank you and God bless.
All right, Felix, thank you
Felix.
so much for that one. Let's just also quickly take your reactions via the WhatsApp portal as we get this one on out.
This is Abbas reporting from Dutse. He says, good morning, UD
Good morning.
and Omoefe. I think you don't try to create jobs by using money to create non-existent jobs in a less productive society. Jobs are requirement by people in the north is different from those in the west and south. As a result, job seekers in Nigeria have outnumbered few number of jobs available. Therefore, creating of jobs shouldn't be centralized. It won't work. What is the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, or what they need to do is to go to industrial estate, see how they can revive all companies that have been moribund, see how they can acquire companies that have, gone under, see how they can bring back petrochemical companies that have left the shores of the country, and not this cosmetic creation of jobs. These are the main reasons why Nigerians are suffering from unemployment, as key industries, that ought to be providing jobs are all closed up. So where are you going to create jobs that can stand the test of time? While I also think this money is, being earmarked. I really can't get that now. We'll create jobs.
We'll never create any job.
When there is no exchange of productive services. All right, Abbas, I think we got the message. Thank you so much.
Right, let's take this one too.
All right. Turkinbi Hundu says, good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Turkinbi.
I'm in Nasarawa State. I greet your guests. Agriculture is the largest employment of labor, but it is unfortunate our people in government don't pay attention to it because of oil. All the government needs to do is to make agriculture attractive to young people by making modern implements available and secondary security in many parts of Nigeria. Anyone who goes to the farm is either killed, kidnapped. In some part of Nigeria, farmers, have had to pay a particular amount of money before being allowed to harvest their farm, produce. On Humanitarian Affairs Ministry sharing money, have been asking people around for years, but yet to see anyone who benefits from the program. I think people in government get richer through those programs by embezzling the funds. Turkey Bihundu there. Thank you so much, Turkey Bihundu, for that message.
Appreciate you.
Right.
Should we take this call and then we'll get back with the High Chief now?
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to
What's
you,
your
Eunice.
name and where you're calling from?
My name is Eunice. I'm calling you from Gooding.
All right. Straight away, Eunice, let's hear your points.
Okay. I want to ask questions.
Okay.
Does that mean that our father our father president, I don't used to take information to him what is happening in our country, especially in Abuja here. Because what is happening in Abuja, is what is happening in some places because their eye is in Abuja. Because Abuja is everything. Does that mean that they are not hearing what is happening or what? Because this issue is too much. Remember last year October, he spoke, everybody was expecting him to say, okay, food will be down, this one will be down, this one will be down for today. He didn't even say anything. This thing is too much. We are still growing. How our future will be? Is it how those things will be continued? Please, in the sake of our future, we need change. Let me do something.
All right.
Please, it's too much.
Okay. All right,
Eunice.
Thank you. Very passionate right there. You can feel the texture of our voice very more as though she is pleading, sending out pleas right there. Well,
All right.
Chief.
Okay.
But there's a message.
Yeah, before we get
let's
to
just
to
take
his,
this out.
we have this one from Yusuf from Wuse too.
Right.
It says, good morning once again, UD, and
Good morning to you.
Omoife and
Right.
your guest.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction has asked the National Assembly to approve 260 billion naira to create 2 million jobs. And I ask whether it is the statutory responsibility of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to create jobs or that of Ministry of Labor. Right, that ministry is notorious for fraudulent diversion of public funds, as all its previous ministers from Sadia Umar to Betta Edu are still facing allegations of fraud. What the government should do to create jobs is to create an enabling environment for the private sector to create jobs. I advise the National Assembly to be cautious in approving funds for irrelevant expenditures in the budget. Yusuf says,
All right.
Thank you, Yusuf, for that message. So,
Hi, Chief.
It's not just advice to be cautious. They should not approve such amount of money. If you give them specific amount of money for disaster management or for anything, we should not continue with this beggary handout economic principle that have even left our people more impoverished. Because resources that are meant to be, zeroing in on creating jobs for our people. If the Ministry of Labor wants to over create jobs, how are they going to create jobs? They are not going to create it from heaven. There has to be an enabling environment for them to create jobs. You talk to people call you from communities that, we need this federal government job. How many can federal government employ? Today, federal government borrow money to pay salaries. That's the truth. It's painful. About 90% of over 90% of our resources is used to service debt. Debt services has become a burden. About 21 months ago or 20 months ago when this president got in, our debt was about 87 trillion. Today is about 132 trillion. So we have a challenge in our hands because we are spending money that is not being productive, and we are not getting more, and that's why Nigerians are taxed more. Today, as I'm talking to you, the telecom services sector has increased their tariff over 50%, and I don't think it's only them. The federal government is involved because federal government is going to get share of the increase, and all this burden lies on is transferred to the common man. When you look at the population of people using phone, they calculate how much they are going to get per each of it and how much federal government is going to recover. This is about our people. We can't tax our way to prosperity. There's no country that have done that. China is not doing that. China is making sure that their people are going into production. They are making sure that government provide the necessary environment and provide the necessary resources for companies that are doing well. Because you can't have companies that are supposed to take people off the street, struggling to get finance from bank, while you carry the 260 billion a share. If I give 50 people 10,000 naira today, it will save them out of poverty.
all right.
But if I give one person that money, that can be productive, it can employ the 20 people.
So is it? I mean, just a lead from what the last contributor said, Yusuf, asking whether it is the responsibility of the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry to create jobs and not that of the Labor and Employment Ministry. Now, the Minister of Labor and Employment, Muhammadu Dingyadi, said he wasn't sure of the statistics of employment in Nigeria, but that his ministry is making frantic efforts to tackle unemployment in the country. How do you tackle unemployment
without data
when you don't have the data?
Just recently on the front page of Nigerian newspapers, we saw where is it the National Assembly now or the Senate, the House of Reps, clamoring for a census, saying that it's been 19 years and we do not know how many we are in the country.
My fear is that Nigerians are playing politics from the north, from the south, from the people don't want census conducted. Without data, Nigeria is going nowhere. If you have data, we will know accurately how many people that are unemployed. We know accurately which region they are mostly unemployed. The unemployed people are domiciled. We know how many people who are underemployed. We don't talk about underemployment in this country. Most of these companies that these foreigners open are here and make billions of naira, they are underpaying our people. These people go to work struggling to do communal assistance. Call your friend to get transport. And yet, because they want to have something to do, because an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So people are struggling to do something, not because that thing put enough food on their table. The president actually exacerbated the level of poverty in this country today. That's the truth.
How do you
Because
mean?
look, this fuel increase, what a president does is to have a proper study of what decisions you want to take. You plan for it, you schedule well for it, you organize it properly, and you make what they call impact assessment. What impact will it have? What on the masses? So when fuel subsidy was removed, we have not been able to get it right, because not that I'm in support of fuel subsidy. One, staying, I wasn't in support. But if you have gotten into office, you look at the corruption in the sector in the fuel subsidy, you nip that in the bud, you look at those who are stealing the money, you look at how best way to remove this fuel subsidy. Look, the Jonathan approach is still the best.
What was it about?
Yeah, you provide things that will cushion the effect of the removal, like making sure each state has 100 buses.
And you
because
phase it out
one of the problem we suffer was transportation increased by 300%. My staff who comes to my house here from where it comes from in Nyanya was paying about was it 300 or so, I mean 400 naira to go and come. Today is paying 1,000 something. So even if you give him 70,000 the minimum wage, I say, look, I'm a private person, let me pay 70,000 minimum wage. It can't take the boy home. So that transportation cost is built into goods and services, and at the end transferred to the end user, the last man, which is the man on the street. And that's why you find out the cost of egg has increased, the cost of bread is increased, the cost of buying everything has increased. I went to a hotel yesterday to try to do a meeting, and I ordered the normal something I ordered, and they said they have added money. Everywhere, money has been added to things. People don't see, because there's a disconnect between the president and the people, just like the lady talked about that, whether they tell the president what people they feel. There's a disconnect. The president is not connecting with the community where he's governing, like the Nigerian people. He's not moving around. He doesn't move community people. He listens to reports of people who tell him that Nigerians are doing well. Nigerians are not doing well.
But let me ask you: should the president be everywhere? Can he be everywhere?
No. See. If you look at how, Belarus, do you know what happened to Argentina? The president of Argentina came into office the same time with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Argentina was in debt of $12 billion US. Today, Argentina is free. Because what did he do? He first of all cut down the cost of governance. Go and read it. I'm not giving you any statistics that is not in public domain. He has moved Argentina to the Argentina was running inflation was running mad. But today, our inflation continues to increase because the right thing is not being done. They are spending money without results. They are spending money on buying things. When you tell citizens to tighten their belt, to adjust, that it will be tough, that this ride will be tough. If your citizens are wearing a seat belt because the road will be rough, the driver too will wear a seat belt. But that is not in case of Nigeria. The ministers are living large. They are spending money unnecessarily that are not going to reflect on the life of our people. Just like this budget that you are talking about, Minister of Disaster Management, or I don't even know what they gave it, the name they gave it. The money is going to be wasted. The Ministry of Labor cannot come out publicly and say they do not have data on the employment status of our people. It is a shameful thing, and it is immediately we conduct census to put Nigeria in the front line for development, because without data, there's no. How do we say how many women today are in our population? We are just guessing with the old data, old census the figures. So we need to be able to have a new one 19 years after, and you know how many births is recorded in our hospital yearly. So we need to put all these things together and then harmonize our data system, both with INEC and every other person.
Okay, let's hear from this person. Hello, good morning.
Triple D.
Mr. Yuji, good morning.
Good morning to you. Triple D. Where are you calling from?
My name is Triple D. I'm calling from Waru.
All right, Triple D, very quickly, let's jump into it.
Okay, sir, I thank God if personality like you will be coming out to speak, I think we'll get it right in no distant time. But I want to ask a question. Can we get it right through all this budget yearly, year in, year out, if we don't have an accountability system in place? What will this budget do to Nigeria if there is no proper scrutiny and accountability of how this money are being spent? We'll get it right. God bless Nigeria. Good morning, sir. Thank you for being there for us.
Right.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
Triple D, for that message.
Would we ever get it rightly?
The National Assembly is a major problem to the failure Nigeria is experiencing.
In what way?
Because National Assembly share almost equal power with the president. Look, you have, how many arms of government do you have?
3 arms.
3 arms.
Yes.
But this Senate, I mean, this National Assembly has actually proven to be different from the previous
No, it
ones.
hasn't. It's not different. They just approve anything that comes their way. There's no difference. They approve money borrowed. There's no effective oversight function. That's why the monies are missing. If there's the effective oversight function, look at the IGP meeting the other day where the senator was questioning that what the police, the Inspector General of Police was reading and what was with them was not in correlation. And yet people sat there. There was no, even members of his own Senate committee were supporting the people. Go on, don't mind him, let him get out. So look, when there's no solidarity for the interest of the people will suffer. And yes, the microscopic few will feed large, and they will get budget. They will get, see, this budget, like our last caller said, cannot take Nigeria out of poverty. It's repeated line item year in, year out. You can't have a budget. As I'm talking to you now, there's a budget for buying of cars in the presidency. There's a provision in this budget to buy cars.
All right.
5.6 billion.
Well, time is not our friend. So a summary or a takeaway from your submission is the fact that seeking 260 billion naira to create 2 million jobs is not justified.
It's not.
And will not work. I mean, Triple D was asking a question.
It would not work because there's no data. They are not supplying any data now. They just said 260 billion. How are you going to create the jobs? What are you going to put the money into? So anything that comes with that kind of vague application is an attempt to continue to steal our money and siphon it. That's the truth. You must put something right and say this also job will be created in this sector. Right. This one will be created in this sector. This is what should come to the public first. Not just, I can measure 373 billion for job creation of job. What does it mean?
So I Chief, just a very quick question and a quick answer. What is the problem? Is it the system or the people?
The people used to be part of the solution, but they were so beaten by corruption, beaten by the public, those in government who stole our money, and poverty became an issue. So the people have lost some sense of dignity, and I advise the people to regain their sense of respect and dignity and start to now determine who gets into office. Because still, if the people resist, if there's a majority of people seeking for good governance, the people in government are too few to determine the future of this country without the collaborative effort of the general populace. Right. So the populace must be, determined to make Nigeria work and not relent.
All right. Lastly, I mean, in 1 minute, if you can, or even 30 seconds, you talked about a channel of engagement. I mean, in which Nigerians can actually hold government to account. So, what participatory or engaging channel would you suggest that Nigerians adopt going forward?
We have these constituency offices for those who are elected in the National Assembly. We're supposed to speak for them. Those who are supposed to speak for them are not speaking for them. So Nigerians must make election as a duty. Duty that if you refuse to perform, if you refuse to work, they must make it a duty. It's the only way we can save this country.
All right. We will not refuse to work on here. We keep working, ensuring that we brought you up to speed with conversations as this that will push Nigeria forward. And we want to say a great appreciations to you, High Chief. Phil just put it out there. Your name
about time
and everything.
You memorize
I do.
Right.
It's just that he has every other encomiums.
All right, so we've been speaking with High Chief Peter Ame, ex-IPAC chairman, the current National Secretary, CUPP or COP, if you like, that's the Coalition of United Political Parties, and is also an anti-corruption activist. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And to you, you've done the needful. We will keep going because the breakfast show is still ongoing. But first, let's just take a little bit of break. And when we come back, of course, 10 o'clock, the General Open Banter.